everyone, this is Isaac here, and welcome back to Isaac Reviews 2023. So, the Disney live-action remakes. I know they're bad, you know they're bad, we all know they're bad. And we got another one coming out next month with The Little Mermaid that also looks terrible, but today we're focusing on their most recent of these money-making traps, Peter Pan and Wendy. The original Peter Pan is one of the more iconic works in Walt Disney's catalog, and it's easy to see why. The animation is excellent and still holds up strong to this day, the characters are memorable, and there's a very keen sense of childlike wonder throughout the film, especially with its message about the importance of growing up. However, I guess I should mention the planet-sized elephant in the room that holds it back from being one of Disney's best works, the outdated racial stereotypes. I could really tell that this was made in the 1950s with just how cringeworthy and uncomfortable the movie's Native American stereotypes were, but even then, I will admit that these sort of movies, as embarrassing as they can be to look back upon, are still very important in how filmmakers and the general public have learned from these mistakes and have since improved upon the standards of diversity and equality in today's movie world. So now, after 70 years, Disney decided to take the beloved IP and give it the live-action remake treatment. I mean, its director also directed one of the more tolerable Disney remakes, but I still have my reservations going in with this one. It just looked all dull and lifeless like most of the other Disney remakes, so I expected it to be no different. And after watching it on Disney Plus, it was slightly better than I thought it would be, but that's not to say it was all that good either. It retains the same basic Peter Pan story of three British children, Wendy, John, and Michael Darling, meeting the legendary Peter Pan and Tinkerbell after having only heard about them in stories. Peter then takes the kids to the island of Neverland, where you'll never grow up or have to deal with adults, and the rest of the story ensues where Peter fights against the evil pirate Captain Hook, and Wendy has to come to terms with the fact that she'll eventually have to grow up. While it's mostly got the same story beats as before, it also adds some new elements to make this version feel fresh, such as Peter and Hook's backstories. And while it still thankfully feels like a Peter Pan movie at the end of the day, my biggest problem with Peter Pan and Wendy is that it's pretty boring for the most part. The first 10 or so minutes leading up to Neverland are extremely tedious and uninteresting, most of the side characters barely have anything noteworthy to do, a lot of stuff just happens with barely any explanation, and the movie's color palette looks terrible. I mean, visually speaking, it isn't a complete eyesore like some of the other Disney live-action remakes. It looks competently made, and there's some genuinely beautiful cinematography and shot composition, but the color palette just looks like if you took the 1953 classic and chucked it into a blender with Les Miserables and Eternals. Not to mention the editing during the action scenes is horrible, with nauseating quick cuts that gave me some very unfavorable flashbacks to the Mulan remake and its editing. But, and bear with me for a minute, this movie wasn't that bad? I mean, it's certainly not good, but for Disney live-action remake standards, it's the goddamn Mona Lisa. For one, I mentioned earlier that it did a better job at being its own thing than some of the other Disney remakes, even if some of the writing choices were a bit confusing, but that's sort of made up for thanks to there also being some solid direction, a score that excellently captures the sense of wonder and excitement in this story, gorgeous cinematography, and the actors all being surprisingly decent, with Jude Law being the standout as a surprisingly good Captain Hook. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, even if it has some good elements here and there, this is still a live-action Disney remake. So naturally, Peter Pan and Wendy was unable to avoid the glaring problems found in plenty of the remakes before it. Beyond it being completely unnecessary, it's a boring, poorly edited mess where the direction, shot composition, score, and concepts can't do much to improve this movie. Naturally, I'd say to just watch the original Peter Pan any day over this. Yeah, I know the racial stereotypes have aged like a jug of milk in the Texas heat, but it's still far more charming, fun, and memorable than this remake. And I know Disney will probably keep doing these remakes. Remember, they announced one for Moana a few weeks ago, and I'm probably just going to be part of the problem by continuing to watch them, but if it helps me to let you all know that they're not worth your time, then that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. It took some thought for my rating, but I ultimately decided I'll give Peter Pan and Wendy a 5 out of 10. Can't wait to do this all over again for the Little Mermaid remake. Next time on Isaac Reviews 2023, I'll be reviewing something that sounds a bit surprising for me to be talking about. Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. I say that it's surprising since it's known for being a girl's coming-of-age story while I'm a guy, but my mom enjoyed the book and I'm curious to see what my perspective will be on this, so stay tuned. Anyways, thanks for watching this episode of Isaac Reviews 2023. Like and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!